This is episode 12 of my Sorare journey. If you don't know what it is basically a playlist of right from the start of when I started playing Sorare, every episode up until right where I am now. And this week is going to be a really important episode. The reason for that is that Sorare have just announced some new features. You can see them right here. And what that means is I can finally go through my profit and loss, show you exactly how much I spent, exactly how much I've made or lost, who knows. And at the end of it, we can just, reflect on what's happened so far. I've only been on the platform a couple of months, but yeah, I'll get into that later. Besides that, we'll be going through the usual stuff, see how I did this week, see my rewards that I'm picking up, who I'm buying at a bit of a crossroads. I think it is a good time to make a new video regardless. So I guess, yeah, let's get into it. But before we do, remember there will be a little surprise at the end of the episode for anyone that likes kind of fantasy games. So let's get into it. This week, picking up the reward, it is nothing particularly special. If you do follow me on Twitter, I don't really use Twitter, but I posted on there like a screenshot that I was 34th in Global All-Stars because I had so many Asian players that I played so early. And I ended up claiming 0.02. That does surprise me. I don't know what happens there. I checked and I was actually only on for... Hey, fantastic news. I was only on for 0.01, but I've been bumped up by Opta by 1. I was going to come on here and complain that I've been bumped down 10 points, and then in the time that they got to give the rewards, they bumped me up by 1. So, what a result. That's like an extra 25 quid. So, yeah, whatever. Let's get into what you're basically all here for, probably. It's the profit and loss. So I've covered it up a little bit, make it a little bit interesting. So these are my ETH deposits, right? Why that's important is because they're kind of every time I saw someone interesting. So I think this big one was when I saw a super rare goalkeeper going for well below what he should have been. I've snapped it up, flipped it basically. And this is the ETH to GBP price at the moment. Is the one I quoted when I looked it up. Obviously it changes daily. And this is how much I spent then in GBP. It's not really an accurate representation. The reason for that is because obviously ETH has gone up in price since I deposited. So at the time I was depositing for probably about half that price. And, as it went up, it looks like it's cost more to me. And yes, if I was holding that complete ETH balance, the opportunity cost would have been that I lost out on the rise in ETH. But a lot of it, and some of it came from my bank account, some of it came from ETH I already held, some of it came from other coins that I held, altcoins and the rest of it. So it's hard to say, but in my head, I know the number I was maxing out at was $2,000. I wanted to spend $2,000 maximum just to see if this platform was worth it. If you ever watched the first episode, it was like a 1-minute clip of me talking, just saying, is it gambling or is it an investment platform? Is it worth your time? And let's get into it. Overall, you can see my current value of my team is 2.1. We'll go through that after, but you can see it here on Sorare data. And my ETH balance is 527. I can actually bump that up because now I believe it's 537 after that. So, and all the formulas update themselves, Excel geek and all the rest of it. But yeah, so that means our current value of the whole club is 5.7k, which is just ridiculous. I'm so pleased with that. I'm really proud of myself, if anything. And, it's something I love doing and I've made a bit of money from it. I won't be cashing out or taking my profits. I'll talk on that a bit later. But what that means is in sterling terms, I've made 2.4k. And if you take that in, how much I actually went to put into how much it cost me at the time, ignoring the opportunity cost, I would have made 3.7k. So somewhere between 2k and 3.7k, I'd say, is actually how much I've made. It's hard to say, and you can see the ROIs here, so 72% or 185%. And like I said, really, really happy with that. I mean, who wouldn't be? I started on the 5th of March, and that's basically just over 5 months from when I'm making this. And yeah, I'm just really proud of myself because I knew joining at the time, it wasn't a good time. It was right when Gary Vee had pumped it to the moon. And I just thought, I'll take some short-term losses. I'll learn how to play the game. And, I've come out really knowledgeable and turned a profit in it somehow. So, anyone starting off, like right now, I think it's probably a mini Gary Vee time, where prices are really high. But, I always believe in kind of the stock phrase market that stock market phrase that, time in the market is more important than timing the market. And in this case, it's another example of that. All of the, knowledge that I've taken on, I was able to use that in the early days and transfer that now to, where I'm turning out, buying bundles, selling, making profit, and, buying better players at the end of it. I know how to play the game. I know a little bit of the meta. So overall, I'm pleased with that. So, thanks you for everyone that has helped. And, I love when people get in touch with me on Discord. We've had some great conversations recently, improve my knowledge, improve their knowledge. So, yeah, that's great. One caveat to that is that, Sorare data isn't always accurate. I've kind of gone through all these prices and looked at them, and I think lots of them are very reasonable. So, someone, for example, Kone, I would never sell him for 1-3. I want him much higher than that. I mean, I know he was starting on the bench in the last game, but he scored, really putting himself out there. 22, possibly getting a move. I wouldn't sell him for less than 0.2. Brave, probably a bit overvalued if he doesn't get a transfer, but if he does get a transfer, he's undervalued, so that's kind of fair at the moment. Keepers are a bit inflated at the moment, but Kang's a great keeper. I'd pick him up even at that price. I think that's a very fair price. Reece Williams recently dropped in price. I guess it's because it's looking like he might stay at Liverpool, and then he's basically worthless. So that's a tough one. But yeah, I really think a lot of these are fair prices. Maybe someone, only really Celtic collectors will pay that for Nakamura, but there's a few of us on here. And at the end of the day, even if we call it 2, I'm still well in the green. I'm still making profit. So again, really pleased with that. But let's just see what I'm looking to buy. And the first one is kind of a personal touch. So on the weekend, I'm obviously watching my team Celtic, and I'm watching the main man Kyogo go absolutely nuts. He scored a hat-trick in the end, but beyond that, he was tackling, he was everywhere, he was setting up chances, he was just fantastic. And I was sitting there, he was worth 0.3 ETH at the time, and every goal that went in, I just saw his price going up and up and up. I was willing to pay about 0.3, and that was on the high end. That was only because I was a Celtic fan, thinking in my completely biased state. And, I ended up waiting, trying to get a better deal for him. And he went all the way up to 0.375s were selling. And, in my opinion, as much as I love the guy, as much as I think he'd be a great scorer this year, that is a bit overvalued. I mean, it was about 800 quid you're paying at that point just for a forward in, Challenge Europe. And I'm sure there's better value out there. So as much as I love him, I'm either going to wait for his price to come down or just enjoy his goals because, I don't need to profit from his goals. I was happy enough watching him go in. So that's one point. The next is kind of my teams for next week. So if you see now, I've started off with very obvious Champion Asia. I thought my best squad, or one of my best squads, is Asia. It's a full Asia team, so I should probably enter that into Champion Asia rather than what I've been doing in Global All-Stars. So I've now got enough players where I can kind of spread them out. I've only got one goalkeeper, and this means that my thresholds team looks like this. And the obvious standout is Song. He's under 23s, he's an incredible player, would probably be my captain in that league. So let's get into why I'm not using him there. And the basic reason is that my team's probably not good enough to win it. So I thought, people have been complaining about the rewards in under 23s, that the actual tiers aren't that good. So I'm kind of on the edge about it. I can't really say which way I am, but I know my squad's probably not good enough to win it without a goalkeeper. So I'm going to put near enough my weakest squad in it, and I'm going to go for Champion Asia this week. It's switching it up a little, but that leads me on to my next point. When am I going to get these goalkeepers? They finally started auctioning goalkeepers again in the under 23s. They've got a couple of Russian ones I've got my eye on, but I've said from the start, Etienne Green of St. Etienne is the guy that I'm after if I wanted one, if I am going to pay. And, you're looking at a very expensive price. I have got 517 in the bank, or 53727 is it now? Let's just check that and refresh. 537 in the bank, which is 1.1k. So, he's on bid here. The last bid went for, just bear with me a second here. It went for, I'm newly listed on it, 733 a couple of days ago. Yeah, that was the one I was watching. So if I get this for 733, then I get the utility for the next couple of game weeks until they release the new season cards. And obviously my last video was telling everyone to wait for the new season cards, but the caveat to that is that A, if I'm losing utility in the fact that I can't really compete in the under-23s league, and B, they're taking a little longer than 2 weeks. I mean, they have the whole Russian league signed up, and so far I think it's only 3 or 4 teams out. So if they do that with the French league, you know, it could be 4 weeks before you get your French new league cards, and it's a bit dubious. So for one position, I'm thinking I might just splash out and get a goalkeeper. You know, with these under-23 goalkeepers, it's just about getting yourself on the market. You know, again, it's a phrase, you know, time in the market rather than timing the market, but whatever. So that's kind of what I'm stuck on. And the final thing is the little surprise at the end. I just wanted to share my fantasy football team for this year. The Premier League's restarting again. I'm so excited for it. And, you know, I'm quite happy with my team. So Reece James is the biggest punt in the team. I think with Lukaku signing, you know, he whips in so many crosses that he's going to be scoring as many as Trent Alexander-Arnold if he does start, but the risk is he might not start. Tough fixtures. I'll probably get him changed by the end. Luke Ayling, great budget player. Trent is obviously Trent, you know, he's essential at this point. Guaita of Crystal Palace, I think he's majorly overlooked this year, so check him out if you think. He makes a lot of saves. This guy, I think everyone knows if you are into your fantasy football, you know, for 4, he's looking like he's going to take Robbo's place while he's injured. Shaw played really well at the Euros, pretty well-liked guy, very attacking. Smith Rowe, oh, again, a bit of one of those. He's more like a rotational bench player. I think he'll probably start a couple of games, so I think for that price, hard to miss out on. Rafinha of Leeds, I'm expecting them to have a great season. Salah essential. Bruno Fernandes essential. Benrahma, you know, near the back end of the season, he's starting to fully start every game, and he's so talented. I think West Ham played really well last season. I'm expecting much of the same. A bit of bench fodder. Ivan Toney, you know, championship record breaker really, 6.5 bargain. And Danny Ings, you know, there's a bit of competition. What I actually am doing is kind of saving funds for Lukaku if he does come, but it's probably going to be a bit soon. So Ings and James will probably be switched around, but overall I'm happy with the team. And yes, I am a massive fantasy football geek. I don't take that one too seriously because I don't have that much money involved in it, but I love watching football, so having that extra bit is always just fantastic. And overall, I think that's basically everything. If you did enjoy this video, I've got, you know, lots of different playlists on my channel, from new starters guides to Sorare Made Easy, just tips and tricks. So I hope you do like them. On the new starters guide, if you haven't started playing Sorare yet, I'm holding off on completing the guide until the academy's out, because that's going to change the meta for lower value users quite a lot. Overall, again, you know, please subscribe if you do enjoy this. Follow me on Sorare. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's SimplyAlex, of course. And yeah, thanks for watching. Really enjoying this so far, and long may it continue. Thanks.